Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
And I'm Josh.
You were starting your little Mandalorian.
Yeah, I was doing the Mando theme song.
Wee. So, in case you haven't figured it out, we are both working on the Razor Crest. Not different ones. We have two of them. Look at that thing.
Not the same. We're not sharing.
Yeah. We each have a Razor Crest Lego set.
There are very few Lego sets that you can share and build in tandem.
Yeah. I think it's totally possible, but you would have to build the instructions in a way that made sense for that, so that you could. That's one of the problems with the big UCS Millennium Falcon that I have. I've had that thing for well over a year.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And I still haven't opened it. Something about like having it to do is enjoyable. Not doing it. Like at some point, I'm gonna
thought
get
of
to
the
it.
execution rather than actually doing it.
Well, I kind of don't want it to be done, I guess. And so by not doing it, not starting it, then I'm not gonna finish it yet.
Sure, that's some deep thing that we can dissect.
Probably. But I mean, I think another idea with getting that was that it's something we could do as a family, but I don't know that we really could. Even I was thinking, it's so big, but it's still linear. There's not like you make the front, I'll make the back, and then we'll stick them together, kind of thing. So, I don't know. Anyway, so did we talk about the Razor Crest getting renamed on here?
A little bit. I think we did.
Yeah, I don't remember where we talked about it, but we looked it up today because apparently the Razor Crest trademark is somebody else owns it in Europe, and so they had to rename this set in Europe to like the Mandalorian transport ship car machine thingy or something, some big dumb long name, instead of calling it the Razor Crest. So when these shipped out, ours says Razor Crest on the box, and I was thinking possibly these would be like almost like a misprint, something that would be sought after by somebody
Collector's item.
Yeah, collected. And so I finally looked today on the Lego site, and it's called the Razor Crest. So I think they just renamed them for Europe. And that was the end of it. So we opened the boxes.
Haha, Europe.
That's what we're doing, I guess. What's going on?
There's parent and kid stuff you and I talked about earlier. Is that worth talking about?
It's entirely up to you. I don't know.
I don't know either. So do we have anything else to talk about?
Well, I have something like, not really. I was curious about, yes, no? I was curious because the weather is beginning to change. Mm-hmm. And you're like a summer guy.
Yep.
And a shorts guy.
Yep.
And a flip-flops guy.
Very much so.
And I'm like a jeans and hoodie and cozy work clothes kind of guy.
Yeah, I saw you wearing a hoodie one day when I was like, oh man, he's jumping in.
Yeah, I was just anxious for it.
While I had board shorts on, you had a hoodie on.
Well, so today you have shorts and I have jeans. I started wearing
I have long
jeans,
sleeves.
Yeah. I have
Somewhat.
short sleeves, so I don't know what's going on today. But anyway, are you at all excited about seasons changing?
Yeah, since moving to Kentucky, it's kind of nice that little bit of briskness in the air. Like we can shut off the air conditioner and just open all the windows all day. Like it's refreshing and it's nice. And I usually I try to ride with the windows open like exclusively, but my kids complain it's too windy, so we use the air conditioner in the vehicles. But I love it. I love riding around with if I had a convertible SUV, that would be great.
Or a motorcycle? Sorry.
Yeah.
Proceed.
A motorcycle.
Sorry.
Yeah. Dang. You got me there.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's nice and brisk, and it's still a little foreign and still a little like, oh yeah, this happens.
Yeah.
Where there's this one tree in our backyard that as soon as it starts to get a little bit cool, bam, this one section turns red. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And we're talking about closing down the pool and what's that going to look like? I was looking up different methods to closing down the pool. So yeah, we're shifting into fall mode, which I know you're very excited about. I mean, I'm not anti-excited about it just because I prefer the warm weather. But
yeah. Well, that was the question. Is I know you prefer summertime and warm and pool and stuff. So
ask me again when it's snowing outside, and then I'm
Yeah.
going to whine like a baby. But this is nice.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
Weather is really nice right now. This is my favorite season, I think, is just the slightly cool, fall weather, but not... I mean, I don't mind the really cold. It just means I get to wear more clothes. Like wearing jackets and stuff. I like jackets. I
could see that.
I have way too many jackets, and I'm not sure how that happened. But I've always had too many jackets. I just change them.
Maybe that could lend to my preference of the summertime, is that you don't have to wear as many clothes, and it's cheaper to buy a pair of board shorts, which are just versatile. I get them wet.
True.
I can wear them around. They're kind of spill resistant in some ways, to whereas wintertime, you can have like a jacket as an outer garment, and then the stuff you wear under that is less important. But like jeans are more expensive.
Yeah.
And so you have to have more pairs of jeans. So I think like the cost of survival in wintertime is higher than the cost of survival in summertime.
Survival.
Yeah, you could shed layers and be okay here in the summertime, to whereas you have to invest in infrastructure to not die in the winter.
Or be slightly cool. I don't know about die.
I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just kind of weird. Like I prefer to wear jeans. I don't know why. I don't like hate shorts, and when I'm in shorts throughout the summer, I don't really think about it. It's fine. But there's something about like cool. I get to wear like pants again and like a jacket. Get all bundled up. I don't know.
Do you remember on The Office when Michael quit to start the Michael Scott Paper Company?
Vaguely.
Okay, and in the interim when they were trying to find a new manager, Charles Minor was the acting manager of the Scranton branch on The Office. People out there, you following me? And Dwight was very upset, and so he was smuggling secrets to Michael. And part of it was due to his frustration that Charles mandated that he needed to wear sleeves and be more professional in the workplace. And he hated it. Because he quoted, "It's like wearing a straitjacket." And he was very upset. And that's kind of how if I have long sleeves, I roll my sleeves up. Like today I went out to lunch and it was a little chilly and I rolled them back down. But my default, if I ever have sleeves on, is to roll them up because it feels like a straitjacket. I feel very bound.
Huh.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I don't like being swaddled by the stuff that I choose to wear. And so the wintertime is just like, let's pile on more stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I don't like it. But then I don't want to die, so I have to do it.
Yeah. Well, now I know. I was just curious.
Something outside is backing up in a very weird tone.
Like over.
It's like a European ambulance outside.
Yeah, European ambulances sound like they're running out of battery.
Yep. But it's quite distinct. You can hear it coming.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, we can talk about the kid stuff if you want.
Well, I don't think it's any secret that I've been trying to improve my relationship with my oldest son. I've been trying to get some therapy help. And I think it's been working. I've been trying to find more common ground with him. And they had a field trip yesterday with their homeschool group to go to some Lewis and Clark thing. And the day before, I had to have some talks with him because he thinks about himself. And I think a lot of kids think about themselves, but I feel like he thinks about himself in a rather unhealthy way. Like he's very disjoined from other people's emotions. He doesn't seem to care. Outwardly. And that is distressing, particularly for my wife. I have that I've joked about having a cold black heart and being standoffish from people and things that bother me. So I'm able to, I think, empathize with his plight a little bit more than my wife is, who is a very social person. So while they were at the thing, there was a playground and whatever stuff happened on the playground. And this kid comes over who is younger than my son, who is playing with his friend, and says, that kid put his hands around my neck. And all the mommies on the thing were like, whoa, that's not okay in any way, right? Appropriately. And so they bring my son and his friend over there. And I had to fight my own urge to do this, and my wife she just kind of went down the hill, or not down the hill, but like she went into like, tell me what happened. So my son started saying what happened, and then the kid who allegedly had his hands on his neck was like, you're lying. That's not what happened. And so as a default, we tend to think that he's lying. Like, we don't give him the benefit of the doubt because he's lied to us before.
Yeah.
And automatically, because of that brief history or the examples of him doing that, automatically discount him around anybody else. And because these are homeschool kids and it's church kind of related, like everybody's kid is the well-behaved, super nice people, like except for my kid who interrupts the teacher and corrects her and like doesn't know when to be quiet. So he's automatically kind of like he is afforded less opportunities for believability or grace in our eyes, because usually he's the instigator for stuff. And we don't want to think that he's like the, like, air quotes, bad kid. But the one kid who got his neck choked apparently is like super sweetheart. The other kid is apparently super sweetheart. And then there's our son, who again is not a bad kid, but like if something went wrong, they're not going to look to the two sweetheart kids. They're going to look to our kid.
Right.
That's upsetting. And I think that added to the tension that my wife had. And so they're asking this kid what happened, and turned out they're like, no, like the Price kid didn't do it. The other kid did it. So I'm like, okay, good. He's in the clear. And she's like, but he's acting like he's lying to me. Like there's more that he's not telling us. So she's trying to dig deeper to find more and try to assign blame to him in some way because of that just frustration with like he lies to us, so we don't know when you're telling us the truth.
Yeah.
And so it's automatically assumed in a lot of situations, especially these weird contentious situations, that he's not being truthful. And so when they told me all this, like, I had to fight my urge. Like, I'm listening to the facts and understand that these are little kids. I'm like, what did he do? Like, it doesn't sound like he did anything. They're like, yeah, but they're claiming that he did this, or that he was around, or that he had some hand in it. I'm like, well, he didn't do anything. And I had to go down to his room last night pretty late and like have him explain it out. And I cross-examined him on the bench. I'm like, all right, tell me exactly what happened, where you were. Tell me these events. Tell me this thing. And I prior to that, would have liked to believe that I could see my son's tells. Like, I know when he's lying. I know when he's making stuff up. I know when he's not being truthful. That has become extremely blurry now as he gets older.
Hate to tell you, it gets worse.
Probably, yeah. I mean, no doubt. But, like, he talks, like, a lot. And he doesn't stop talking. And then he, like, shifts his eyes around like he's trying to make up a story. And the whole time, I'm like, your story is matching up with what these other kids are saying. I don't know why you're being accused of these things. And then one of my wife's, one of the things she was bringing up is like this kid started crying, like right there, like openly crying around his mom. Like he was, not that he was being tormented, but I guess he felt like he was being tormented, which is terrible. And she was like, how does that make you feel? And he was like, I don't know. And so she felt that his lack of response equaled a lack of empathy or a reflection of like that cold, aloof black heart. I'm like, but you're claiming to project how he feels when you don't know what he's thinking. You know what it appears like he's thinking. That's not fair.
Yeah.
And so I had to stop and take a stand, like not be an advocate for him, but I like this kid. Oh, he's owed a fair shake. And we can't just assume that because he's lied to us in the past that he's lying to us all the time. And that was difficult to do. And even talking to my wife, I mean, it's extremely difficult for us. But then I went, well, when does that stop? Like, is there a check sheet of things that he has to be truthful until we can finally give him the benefit of the doubt? Like,
well, sorry.
No, like.
So, I mean, did you talk to him at all about that part of it?
Yeah. I said, you know why your mom was upset? I'm like, she feels like you're lying to her because you've lied to her in the past without remorse. I was like, so this is what she has to go off of. He's like, but I'm not lying. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And he and I have this relationship, which I believe, at least right now, is honest, that I will not lie to him and he won't lie to me. And we have that. And I thought that my wife had that as well, and she would like to hope that she had that as well. But I think in this situation, either because I'm trying to think that she felt embarrassed about the situation and just on the defensive. So she automatically, I think, in the perception of wrong, defaulted to like, you need to apologize and make everything right now.
Yeah.
And in his lack of doing so was because he had no empathy or love toward another human being. But I'm like, well, maybe he just didn't do anything. It didn't feel like it was necessary or didn't understand why you were getting so upset. And so just this misperception of a situation based on like prior actions. I'm like, well, good or bad, is it one prior action has ruined all actions in the future? Or how does he try to make that up in your mind or in my mind? Like, we have to have a default, I think, as loving parents to like, I want to believe what you're telling me until I can prove otherwise. And that's super hard in that situation, especially when you've had instances, or when we have had instances like that in the past.
Yeah, it is hard. And I mean, I think it's one of those things that becomes a cycle that you don't want to have to go through, but a cycle that you eventually have to go through where, you know, you see a certain type of behavior from them and then you begin to react, assume that that's going to be the default. And then eventually that behavior will change. You know, eventually they don't like pee in their pants anymore. That behavior has changed. And then the behavior is like, well, but now they pee on the seat. Well, okay, that's what I'm going to assume is going to happen until it doesn't. And then I'm going to assume that, you know, whatever the next thing is, like there's this series of, they did this for a while, that's the truth. And then it stops becoming the truth and there's a new truth. And we're behind that. Whatever the pace that's happening at, their growth, their maturity, we're behind it trying to keep up with it. And that is a hard thing. And I think that's going to continue on. I've dealt with this a lot with my oldest, and I think we've talked about the video game thing, where his lack of self-control with video games, stopping when he was supposed to stop, got them taken away completely, 100%. He has not played a video game in, I don't know, 2 months, month and a half, something like that. And his question to me has been since the beginning, what do I have to do to get them back? Because my assumption is every time he plays a video game, he's not going to pay attention to his timer. He's going to continue to play as long as he feels like he, you know, whatever. Because he showed me that behavior a whole bunch of times. Over and over and over. And I finally just got fed up with it.
So there's a presumption that he will just continually be impulse-based and not have the discipline.
Well, so that was the cause of it. Now, I think eventually he will grow out of that, obviously. But I am trying to impress a point on him way past the threshold of what I probably need to, but I'm going to drive this thing home. Because self-control is a thing that none of us are good at.
Right.
And this is, I think for him, we've had little bouts of lying and stuff like that, but this is the first repeatable lack of self-control issue that we can see the effects of, and we can actually cause whether it gets to happen or not. So I'm trying to use it as like a big example. But I get to tell him, because I'm still holding those video games back from him, my explanation to him is, it's not that you're not going to get them back by not doing what you did before. You have to make an extra effort in something new to show me a place where you have had self-control where I haven't had to tell you to have self-control. You got to show me a step forward in maturity here. And he's like, well, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. That's not my problem to figure out. You have to grow. And when you can grow, and I can see this growth around this particular subject, then I'm just going to give you your games back, and you're not going to realize it. But you need to be on the lookout for ways to have self-control within your life. So that's super nebulous for him. He doesn't know what to do with it. I totally get that. But I'm not like withholding food or something. You know, I'm withholding something he doesn't really need anyway. So I'm trying to make a bigger deal out of it. But we had to have the big conversation. The reason I asked if you had talked to your son about this was because I had to say, your behavior has shown me this over and over and over. And it may be a more repeated thing than what you guys are dealing with. Because, I mean, it's like over and over and over. So I had to say, your behavior has shown me this so many times that I don't believe you when you say you will turn off the game when the timer goes off. Because we give them like 30 minutes. And, you know, if they're a minute or two past that because they're finishing a level, not a big deal. But he was like, one more battle, one more level, one more something, and you just play for another 20, 30 minutes. So my thing to him was like, you've just shown me this so many times, you have to show me something else. And I don't have any reason to believe that you can have self-control on this particular subject until you prove it. And that doesn't mean failing a whole bunch more times. That means showing me that you know what self-control is somewhere in your life. And then we'll come back around and we'll try it on this thing. But I was really trying to impress on him that he's had a bunch of chances for this thing, and he's set up a pattern of behavior and a pattern of belief on our part as to what he's going to do. And he has to be proactive. That was another big word I threw, you know, like, we got to be proactive here. You have to change our perception of what you're going to do. And granted, he's almost 13. You know, he's in a little bit different place, dealing with different stuff, but he now has this thing set in front of him, this thing he really wants, and he doesn't quite know what to do to be able to get that back.
And I think that's fair of him, because just like you're saying, that nebulous concept is really difficult, I think, for anybody to try to go, like, okay, I don't have a qual card, or I don't have a thing that can go like a punch card.
Yeah.
So, because we faced that similar thing, and it was fighting. All the kids wanted to be doing something on the Switch at the same time, so they would fight. And I would set those boundaries exactly the same. The second that somebody yells, "We are done," and they're like, "Okay, Dad, yep, okay, yep, we got it." Like, and then they just try to shoo me away. And then the minute somebody did, I didn't say a word. I walk in and turn it right off. Mm-hmm. Then they freak out and they scream, and I walk away. And I go, "Why did I do that?" "Because we were screaming." Yeah. Exactamundo. Because you were screaming. And then the very next time they do it, and I go, "Hey, what happened last time? Whenever you started screaming, you turned it off." I will every single time, because I don't care about that thing. Oh, man, Baby Yoda.
Look how cute that is.
Sorry.
I'm listening.
Bob just found Baby Yoda.
Look at this.
That's adorable and a half right there.
Oh, we don't have a camera.
Oh my god.
Look at that. He's so tiny. He's like... That's
Lego.
my thumb.
He's a Lego version of a tiny
and I have
Baby
paint all
Yoda.
over my hand. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway.
But I think, like, rather than... my personal stance is, rather than removing the thing that they are failing at, it is an exercise every time. So I go, well, last time, what happened? What are you going to learn from? How is this time going to be different from last time? Explain it to me. Well, you told me that I wasn't going to get off, or you told me if we were going to scream. How are you going to prevent that from happening? What is your plan? Because I think being able to let them come up with a plan, whether or not they have the discipline to follow it, they can at least identify a potential solution, rather than just like, you got to come up with a way to make me trust you. Like, whoa, man, like, what does that look like? Like, I don't know. If I don't know how you trust me. I have a key to your house. I don't know what I did to make you, like, make me worthy of that thing. But, like, it's an unspoken thing. And I think it would be even harder for a person to try to achieve an unspoken goal.
Right. I understand.
So for us, like, the Switch in particular, because it's a frustrating thing that it's a competition based and people don't win and whatever, that you have to improve. And I see my son now will try to mitigate, and he will try to step in and be a mediator, and he will try to prevent people from screaming, because he knows that, like, if any one of the three, I don't care who, I don't care why, if they scream, you're all done.
Yeah.
So yes, that's like group punishment. Understand that. But it makes him stop and care, selfishly or otherwise. It makes him stop and care and come up with his own mitigation procedures for that solution, for that problem that don't involve me. And for the most part, it works. But then we cut down big time, like you're talking about, on like individualized screen time. Not out of anything they did wrong, just because I was tired of them retreating away and just being by themselves. If you're going to be on a screen, you're going to play together. You're going to form a bond. You're going to form a relationship. And I told him, I understand this new shift. And you guys, like, one would go off on the computer, one would watch TV, one would have the Switch. They're by themselves, so there is no conflict.
Yeah.
And so by mandating that you guys will do a thing all together in the hopes that it will have positive effects is inherently going to create conflict. And then I have to come back and remind them, if this little nugget that I'm willing to give you is valuable to you, this is how you have to treat it. And it's still, the moment that you start screaming, that thing is done. I don't care. This is... I had a drill sergeant in basic training. They used to talk about this face. And you go, you see this face? This is there's a curse word I'm not going to say. This is the I don't give a fluff face. And she would just stare at you. And I went, that's awesome. And I'm going to use that. And so I don't curse at my children. But in my head, I go, I do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't care. I don't care about the Switch. I care about the relationship you guys have with each other, which is not going to be perfect right out of the gate. Inherently, you're all selfish little creatures. You want the orange controller. He's got the orange controller, so we're going to freak out because he has the orange controller. Like, sure. I want you to be able to look down the road into the future where the three of you are siblings and you're coming over to the house for Thanksgiving and you're talking to each other as peers. But now you're just complaining about the orange controller. So next time, maybe you'll complain about that a little bit less, or they'll be able to police themselves a little better because they see the negative reaction that I have to the thing that they're all wanting. I am foiling their collective goal. So they collectively need to police themselves. And with the age gap, it's different. So my oldest, like I said, usually becomes the mediator. And that's fine. I'm hoping that trickles down because he has great influence over them.
Right.
And at certain points, like I said earlier, he is able to stop them. He is able to come up with a compromise. Understand if it has selfish intent and selfish motives. For this, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, it's like a step toward...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be a diplomat right yet. I mean, that would, hooray. Use your diplomacy and use all those things. But I mean, this is the babiest of steps. So, and last night, like, how do you earn back our trust in your word? Like, boo, I don't even know. Mm-hmm. Anything you tell me, I don't want to assume that you're lying to me. But I had to stop and go, well, that's a me problem. That's my perception of him. And I think I had to work on the foundation of our relationship rather than the initial reaction of like, don't you lie to me. Don't you do it. Like, I want to get to a place where he doesn't feel like he has to lie to me. And if he has any kind of safe haven, like, it's talking to me. And we talked about that last week on the email that I wrote him about the internet, which he and I talked about. And when he spoke to me, I wasn't in that situation where I was surrounded by a bunch of embarrassed peers. I wasn't put under the pressure of, they're the two sweet angel kids and our kid who's questionable, so therefore you are it. I had a little bit of objectivity. So it made believing him easier.
Yeah.
And I thanked him. I thanked him up and down for being honest with me. I'm like, this is an example of you earning my trust. He was able to point out like the little things in that situation that he did wrong or that he could have done better. Things that my wife was upset about in the moment that he didn't feel remorse about. He did. He just didn't outwardly say it. And he was able to communicate that to me. He was upset that he didn't stand up for the kid who had his... Long story. The kid did not have his hands around his neck. Kid went up behind him and like wrapped his arm around his like upper torso. No hands across necks, which my son was able to communicate, which my wife found out about this morning. I'm like, yeah, I knew that. He told me that. And which led to his kind of mute reaction because again, he didn't feel like it was warranted. So all of those things together, like it's praise. Thank you for telling me the truth. I want to positively reiterate This is right. You are right. Even though you feel like you did wrong in that situation, you coming to me openly, honestly, is 1,000% correct.
I do think there is something. A lot of times, my kids do not understand, especially my oldest, but they don't understand the impact that their behavior has on how people see them, and I think that's a big part of. We talked about. Like, there have been other situations which I don't want to say here because I don't want him to eventually hear this someday and be embarrassed about. But there are things that he's done and he immediately has regretted them. But if left unaddressed, they would begin to frame who he is to other people, his peers. Yeah. And that stuff, while embarrassing for him or while difficult or scary or whatever, we had to have a talk recently where it said, this thing happened, and I said, look, I'm going to go with you, but you are responsible to own up for your behavior and apologize to the person involved, and just be straight up. I screwed up. I want to lay it out there, and I want to get this so that you have the right understanding of where my heart is, because the action itself is different than where the heart is, because they're kids and they mess up, and they, and I get that. And that was, I wish I could fully explain the thing, but I would feel bad doing it. But basically I said, you have to take responsibility for this, and I will go with you to the place to deal with the thing, and I will stand back. I'm there if you need me, but you're responsible to handle this. And he was hesitant, but then went and did it and handled it, made his apologies, and everything was good. And it was kind of mind-blowing for somebody of his age to deal with this particular situation and go and just man up to it. Like, flat out, I screwed up.
Yep.
No excuses. No, like, well, I didn't mean, I was just... Like, I screwed up.
That's something we've been having to work on.
And man, we were walking through the neighborhood, and on the way back, I'm like, I didn't think you would do that. I'm really impressed. And he was like, really?
Humility, man.
I was like, you don't understand how big of a thing it is to stand in front of somebody else and admit that you've made a big mistake and that you're sorry for it, and that you don't want it to define who you are to that person. You want to fix how they see you. And I had to let him know that I was really proud of that moment, because I know if I was his age in that situation, I would have fought tooth and nail to not have to own up to my own behavior. That was really cool. And I think a lot of the stuff about, like, him having to show us self-control, it's taking, I'm trying to take, in his particular situation, because of his personality, I'm trying to take him out of the mechanics of how do I get video games back, or how do I get this person to be okay with this situation, or how do I, because I've
completed all required tasks. Please let me do the thing.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to say, like, no, this is self-control.
Yeah.
This is a thing that you are going to have to fight against your entire life, because every single one of us does in one way or another. And if you don't understand that self-control is a thing that you have to be aware of and that you have to work for, then you're going to fall into a whole bunch of traps of, like, well, it's video games, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. And so that's why I'm withholding it. And like I said, it's not food, it's a thing that he's fine without. So I'm withholding it as an example, but his solution to get it back is not video games. His solution is self-control, however that becomes evident, in his, whatever he decides to come up with or finds to come up with. It's been interesting, because at first he was really hesitant. He was like, he didn't want to ask about it because he knows that's not going to help. Yep. But he was still trying to, like, when.
So hey, not about video games or nothing, but like, when can I have my video game?
Yeah, that kind of thing. And now he's not doing that anymore. But I can tell he's looking for ways to figure out how to mature. Like, he's looking for what the thing is. And I do feel a little bit bad, because I don't want to help him with that thing. I don't want to, like, okay, here's some examples of self-control that you can go work on. Because I really do want him to mature a little bit in this. But, yeah, for him, I think this whole process would be different for my other kids because they really do have a different personality. But I think for him, the full just taking it away, let's focus on the bigger thing here and figure that out. And then when video games come back in, they will be an example of the thing that you learned, not the thing you learned.
They'll be affected as
it's like a byproduct,
yeah,
like a symptom of it, hopefully. Yeah.
Have you taught your kids how to apologize?
Yes, that's been a big thing for us since the very beginning. Is we have always, even when they were little, and they would get in a fight or argue or something, we would always make them look at each other in the eyes, say they were sorry, and accept the other apology. Like that was a big part of it. And of course, they're like, gritting through their teeth, just like, it's okay. I'm sorry. But we've always made them do that. And it's interesting because now that has become a second nature thing for them. When they become aware that they've done something, whether it's obvious or not, they are pretty good about going to each other and apologizing for it. And they've also all become really good at, it's fine, don't worry about it. And they move on. They don't seem to hold grudges against each other, which is good. I'm not sure how that will play out outside the family.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's practiced between them more than, at large, but it's a start.
Well, I asked because in that moment, like, my wife was like, apologize to this kid. And they're like, sorry. They give, like, the kid version of sorry that is just like, they want me to say these words, so I'm begrudgingly saying them. And we had to talk about, like, do you even know why you're doing that? Like, what does that even mean to be sorry? Because I don't believe you, and it sounds like you don't believe you, so why are you even doing it? And so we talked last night about thinking outside of ourselves and imagining how that person is going through, even if you don't understand. It doesn't matter if you understand or not. Because he was talking about, like, when the kid had his arm wrapped around him. He's like, he wasn't squeezing him or anything. He's like, I don't know why he was so upset. I'm like, that point right there. It doesn't matter if you thought or why you thought he should have been upset. I'm like, that kid reacted the way that he reacted. Did that make you feel good that you were a part of a thing, of a situation that made somebody, like, terrified enough to cry in front of a group of people? How does that make you feel? He's like, not good. I'm like, well, yay, thank you. That, like, huzzah, you don't feel good about that. And so to apologize, like, what does that even look like to apologize? He's like, I could just say sorry. I'm like, but that doesn't show, like you said, your heart. That doesn't show how you have learned. It doesn't show remorse. It doesn't show self-improvement.
Yeah.
And so we came up with, like, a format, because he's going to apologize to the kid for exactly his part. Even though it was smart, it's his part. So apology, like, the format that I was talking to him about was, I am sorry that because you start with your own self-reflection, your own actions. What did you do in this situation? I'm sorry that I fill in the blank. And he was able to tell me, like, the two tiny little things that could be misconstrued as bullying, but it really wasn't. But I'm glad that he went there because he thinks his actions were worse than I think they really were. I go, okay, then the second part. I'm sorry it made you feel blank. Like, that shows empathy. It shows that you are stepping outside of yourself to take that person's point of view to heart. Whether you agree with it, whether you actually understand it, it shows that you are considering what that person was feeling. Fear, terror, betrayal, sadness, whatever. Doesn't matter if you agree. And then, I would like to make it better by. And he was like, I could give him $1. I'm like, it's like, it's not penance. It's not reparations that you owe somebody. Like, what is your goal? Like, you're upset. And he told me he was upset that this kid now thinks that he is, like, a bully at him. I'm like, okay, so what's the opposite of being a bully? He's like, being somebody's friend. I'm like, so then try to be his friend. I'm like, well, does this kid like the same stuff you like? He's around the same age and a boy. I'm pretty sure that he does. He's like, we had a Minecraft hat on one day. I'm like, huzzah, you like Minecraft. And we were talking about all these similarities. And I was like, so why can't you just like go be this kid's friend? He's like, I don't know. Maybe I can. I'm like, so this weird, angry situation could be the potential springboard to like an actual friendship. Mm-hmm. But it's going to start with you coming clean, attempting to redefine this person's, like you said, the perception of you based on this one interaction. It could be very strong.
Yeah.
He goes, well, what if he doesn't want to talk to me? What if he doesn't want to hear it? I'm like, that's his decision, not yours.
Yep.
He is the victim here, the alleged victim in this whole thing. You don't get to define how victims take your apology. That's not up to you. Now, even if he doesn't, you're going to say it to his mom. Because his mom has that perception of you now, which is infuriating as a parent. So you're going to make it right with her. And then she can talk to her son if he doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So my wife and his mom were talking this morning because they're still like mommy upset about this whole thing. And I mean, it should be. They want to make it right. They're a community of people. They don't want this just to fizzle out, and they're showing that they care. Turns out that the kid's birthday is this weekend. He has a twin sister. I doubt they're listening, so it's not a spoiler. He is getting a bearded dragon, which my son has. And his sister is getting a hedgehog, which we also have.
Oh, wow.
So he was trying to find common ground with this kid other than Minecraft. I'm like, I think you have many, many layers of overlapping interest.
Yeah, seriously.
It's super easy for you to become friends with this kid, to turn this really annoying miscommunication, crazy situation into a positive end result.
Yeah.
Like, but it starts with you humbling yourself. Mm-hmm. It starts with you apologizing properly, according to the 3-step price apology plan. And it's those little steps to like, how do I teach empathy?
Oh, man. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is right now. Right now, I am able to instill someone else's feelings that are contrary to his observations. I'm like, boom, that's empathy. Let's do it.
I think those 3 points that you put into that are really good because by themselves, they're not enough.
Yep.
They're all important, but they're all left
partial credit.
Yeah, I'm sorry you feel this way. It's super condescending.
It is, and exactly.
I'm sorry I did this thing, and if that's the end, then you're just like loading guilt on yourself. If you're like, I just want this, that's selfish behavior.
Can we just make it right by this? You're blowing it off.
But if you put those 3 things together, you're covering all of the bases. That's an excellent combo to bring up. Like we would always do, I guess kind of similarly, but it wasn't that defined, but we would always tell the kids that they had to not just say they were sorry, but they had to actively say what they were sorry for. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't just go like, sorry.
Sorry, you're mad.
I'm sorry that I hit you. I'm sorry that I stole your thing. You know, apologize for the event. And then that just makes it really clear about what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'd be like, well, that's not what I'm actually mad about. You know. And then the same kind of thing. They would say they're sorry, and then the other kid would not respond. We're like, but you have to say it's okay. You have to say it's okay because that's your part. Same reaction that you had, not your problem. Yeah. That's up to them. And then we have to like, you're done. You can go away. Now we have to deal with the person that won't accept an apology. And that's a whole different conversation. But, well, I hope it works out. I hope that somehow crazy thing turns into a friendship for him.
Yeah, me too.
It sounds like it's a bunch of good lessons. As stressful as that stuff is for you and for you and your wife and him, hopefully it turns into something good.
And like most parenting things, it is good for all of us in the long run. And I say that in such a way because like I personally had to stop and I had to learn. I had to change my initial reaction to respond a certain way. It was much harder for my wife in that moment. I understand the pressures of that whole situation, being blindsided with things. But like as we spoke about them this morning and last night, whenever I was done talking to him, I woke her up and I'm like, yo, we need to talk about this. Like, I have come to a final verdict for your consideration, ma'am. And yeah, we did wrong as parents because we automatically took somebody else's word as more credible than our own son's. And while it could have, yes, been based on historical data, it still made me feel like garbage to say that out loud. And that's not something I'm willing to...
It's not a habit you want to get into, for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to make that a default in my life. I think it's hypocritical of me to do that.
Yeah.
In a scenario where I am trying to do nothing but build trust with him, I can't default to not trusting him. Like, that's self-deprecating. Like, I'm not making that situation better. I'm not instilling that openness. If I constantly look at him and go, no, you're lying to me. I'm not comfortable with that yet.
Yeah.
And until all of my investigations are closed and I come to the wholehearted conclusion that the jury is finding in favor of the defendant and that you just lost, sir. Now you are deemed a liar.
Right.
Judge's hammer. Like,
Judge's hammer. Purred.
I have misplaced my judge's hammer.
That's from Parks and Rec, in case anybody's listening and didn't know that. Yeah, you definitely don't want to, like, assume the worst. It is tough, though, because kids have patterns. And, you know, I've always tried, in general, to give people the benefit of the doubt. Trust people until they give me a reason not to. And then when they give me a reason not to, that doesn't mean I won't ever trust them again. But, you know, I think trust does have to be rebuilt sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's what I tried to explain to him.
And I think the safer way to get that across to a kid is from a parent. I'm not saying hold it against them. I'm not saying assume the worst. But to let them know that this is a place where there's a level of trust that will always be here because you're my child. But there's also, I can be really blunt with you that you broke the trust that I gave you for no particular reason. Yeah. I want to give it to you again. My intention is to trust you as you grow up. I want us to have a good relationship. This is the safe place for you to break it and fix it. Because when you're out in the wild with a random stranger and you break trust, they don't care enough to give you a second chance. Yep. Typically. I mean, that's a generalization, but they don't necessarily have the same incentive. Like, we have incentive to trust our kids and to teach them how to be trustworthy and how to, you know, apologize and all that stuff. So I think it is a safe place for them to fail in those ways and go through the exercise of rebuilding trust, because there's a kind of safety net to parenthood, or it should be anyway. If there's not, but it's tough. And the thing is, man, like as they get older, it's just going to be, I don't want to say more of the same, but more challenges, more situations that none of us, the kid or the parent, have ever been in before, trying to figure it out. And, you know, that's just the way it is, I guess.
Hooray.
It's interesting talking to my parents about my kids. My mom was a pastoral counselor for years, and so she has a really great outlook and understanding of people and how they do why they do things and how they work and stuff. It's really interesting, though, when I talked, and they listen, so hey, Mom and Dad. But when I talked to her about the kids, she just kind of like, yeah, yeah. That's how people are, you know. She has an interesting like approach to it all, but she's also really helpful stuff. So anyway.
I miss having lunch with your parents.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I went out to that restaurant the other day to have lunch by myself, and I just kind of walked in, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, we'll get back there someday, hopefully. What are we at here? 48 minutes. We got any other non-parenting stuff to talk about?
You want to tell people about our Minecraft server?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Not our I like to... So, Forby had this idea, because he's a brilliant human being, that we could, the collective, the four of us, could get on Minecraft, record it, and make like a fun little video of us hanging out doing Minecrafty things.
Now, to be fair, this has been done before.
Oh, yeah.
By
lots of people.
Everybody else in the world.
Welcome to the party. I like to make stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
So he got it hooked up. Anthony created a server on an old computer that we had laying around. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do? Because I would be bored just watching some people play around on Minecraft. So then we were thinking about some fun stuff to do. And this is where we would need your input. This is the call to action section of the podcast. Industry term. One of the ideas that I had is that we would all start in one place, so you in your spawn point. We would set down a treasure chest. or a chest. And go, the first person with nothing, right? And the first person to go retrieve, pull item out of a hat wins. Ready, go. And so you have no weapons. There's still mobs. It's in survival mode, so you have to outlast and outrun till you go retrieve a wheat seed or, God forbid, a diamond or something crazy like that. But, we would have, little mini challenges, Minecraft-based mini challenges.
Yeah.
So that as we recorded these videos, they would be fun. They would be a faster paced. And then, I don't know, maybe people would like it. I don't know how we would release it or share it with people, but, it would just be something fun that we could do.
Yeah, it would definitely be a second channel type thing if we put it out there. Maybe it would be just for the Maker Alliance members. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I'm not sure.
What's the Maker Alliance, Bob?
Well, the Maker Alliance is the group of people who are awesome, and that's it.
It's really the only criteria.
That's true. The people that are kind of members of our group. So you can join by going to iliketomakestuff.com/join. Just so you know, you can join through Patreon or through YouTube membership. Same deal, same rewards, same whatever. But it's a group of
when
people.
Bob remembers to invite you to the hangout.
I apologize to the YouTube members because I often forget to send the link to the monthly hangout because they get a monthly hangout where we do a live hour-long chat, and that's an awesome time. But there's a bunch of other stuff. They get to watch videos early and Discord server, which is really cool. We have a Minecraft server for the Maker Alliance, which is different than what we're talking about. But
somebody's building a full-size Lowe's in the Minecraft server. What?
It's pretty crazy.
I intentionally and then immediately regretted releasing an Ender Dragon into our Minecraft server.
Yeah, thanks for that.
It exploded through a whole bunch of walls pretty violently, and then I freaked out. It was fun. So if you like Minecraft, we
random dragon attacks.
We do Minecraft, and random dragon attacks.
But yeah, the Maker Alliance gets access to that server. If you want to come play with us, it's a lot of fun. We have a good time.
I'm gonna ask Anthony if he has any questions for us.
Yeah, you got any questions, Anthony?
Anthony had some weird hypotheticals while we were in the office, and I went, "Ooh, we should save this for the podcast." And so we have a new segment, insert fun jingle, where Anthony asked weird questions to the guys.
Doot.
Boing.
I mean, I need a microphone now.
Boing. No, just yell them out. We'll repeat them.
We'll say it in your voice.
I only have the two questions from earlier. Are you okay to go with those ones?
Sure.
Okay. So, question number one. Which I actually am stealing from another podcast. I was listening to this
well,
morning.
now we're going to be copying somebody.
We're gonna copyright strike.
We shout him out. Anyway, the question is, if you could raise one comedian from the dead of these two, would it be Chris Farley or John Candy?
Okay, just so we're clear, we have the choice to resurrect John Candy or Chris Farley. Who do we choose and why?
I'm going to go with John Candy.
Okay.
I think they're both hilarious. It's a hard decision. But I'm going to go with John Candy because I think he has a little more range.
Along those same lines, I'm going to resurrect Chris Farley because I think Chris Farley did not get to have his Robin Williams moment where he got to be serious with a beard and show that range.
Oh, interesting.
I think that Chris Farley would be the perfect person to revive Uncle Buck, which was a John Candy film. But still, I don't think that Chris Farley got to escape the universe that Saturday Night Live not necessarily put him in, because I'm sure that it was his world, but his Saturday Night Live world. He didn't get his serious moment.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Good answer.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah, let's get right on that. So, step one, resurrection. All right, what else we got?
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
If you had to remove one of these restaurants from where we live, from the local vicinity that we can go to during lunchtime, which one would it be? Culver's or Chick-fil-A?
Oh, okay. So the question is, if you had to pick, let's be a little more dramatic with the question. If you had to pick a local restaurant that we frequent often to burn down or sell or whatever the thing is, would it be
evict from town, like right out on rails, not like, oh, whoopsie daisy, we can rebuild. Like,
yeah,
you're getting kicked out.
Okay, so you have to kick out a local restaurant. Chick-fil-A or what was the other one? Culver's.
Culver's, for people that might not know, is a butter burger joint. They got pretty good burgers.
It's pretty good. And we go there a lot.
I'm going to go with Culver's because their burgers are good. There are other places with good burgers. You can't get Chick-fil-A anywhere else.
That's a good point. Everybody who's tried to be a Chick-fil-A has failed.
Yeah. I mean, in a pinch, you could go to the Popeyes or whatever to try to get their Bobo sandwich.
No.
It's not good. It's
not
just
the same.
drippy mayonnaise on a piece of chicken. It doesn't work.
Drippy mayonnaise.
Blech.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree.
So my wife asked me a question the other day that I don't even know if we've ever asked. We might. Okay. That if you were forced to lose one of your senses, which one would it be?
Ooh. Would this assuming taste and smell are connected as they actually are?
Ooh.
Or is this like acting
interesting
like they were
point.
totally separate?
I did not act as if they were separate. I acted as if I were in some type of deranged doctor's office right now, and he made me Saw-style choose as I'm sitting right here.
Well, I think if you could assume that they were separate, I would lose smell.
Okay.
Seems like
Assuming that they're not separate.
smell. I guess. I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. What about you?
Ironically, I think I said the ability to speak. Yeah. Which would hinder what we currently do, and I would be limited to like clicks and whistles.
Is that a sense?
I don't know. Ability to hear, speak, feel, taste.
I don't think speak is a sense.
It's connected to your hearing.
Judges?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, you have 5 senses,
Yeah.
unless you're psychic. So touch,
Smell,
smell, taste,
sight, hearing.
Yeah.
Speaking is not on there?
Speaking is an action. It's not a sense.
You're not sensing your voice. But I mean...
Maybe we should petition for...
Okay, then hearing. Yeah, hearing. Done.
But music.
I can feel music. I'm a bass player. I can feel the music.
Yeah,
It
but...
would be so quiet in my own head.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, that would be great.
I mean, I thought about that, but music,
Okay, I will justify. I remember what music sounds like. So, like, I could go like this. And I could sing Zeppelin all day. And I'm enjoying it. I don't need to hear any new music. I got plenty of music stored up.
I mean, I remember songs,
Huh?
but I... What? I don't know if I...
It'd be so tranquil.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Couldn't do it.
I love music, hands down. But I remember a lot of good music.
I mean, I remember music, but there's something about... I'm hesitant to say that I have a different reaction to music than other people because that sounds super pretentious. I don't mean that. But
You
there's
liked
like
music before it was cool.
Yeah, I've liked music before. Everybody else liked music. There's something about certain music that like physically moves me. Like it's a different thing than anything else I feel. And I can't imagine losing that. And listening to music in my head that I remember is not the same. It doesn't do that. So,
and that's how I feel. I think about. I can't break the smell and taste. I think that they're one and the same. Or I mean, they physiologically like are extremely linked. So, I think my reaction to like food and that kind of discovery of like something I've never tried before and like the representation of someone's culture, something that is completely like blindsided me. I think I have been impacted more by like sharing a meal with somebody than listening to a song that somebody has created.
Interesting.
The songs that move me in the way that you're doing are far fewer than the meals I've shared with somebody and that interaction as a whole.
Gotcha.
So that's why.
Yeah. That's a
Now, Anthony, have one more.
I got one more. You can either give up your ability to make music, or give up all of your memories of Star Wars.
Okay. He said we would have to give up our ability to make music or our memories of Star Wars? We have to be very specific on
And give
this.
Star Wars, because then you could watch it again, and you get to watch it again for the first time.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I think in this Groundhog Day situation, I wonder what the percentage of times you were like, this movie sucks.
Especially if you watch
This is
it from
terrible. Why is everybody so excited about this?
So, okay, this is funny. My wife's sister is 13 years younger than her or something. She's quite a bit younger. And so she grew up after Star Wars was done. You know, I mean, like, until the recent years. And so it was never a thing for her. And so she and her husband had never seen really, I mean, they'd probably seen the movies, but they never paid attention to them, and they didn't really know the story or whatever. And so recently, they decided that they were going to start watching the Star Wars movies. They knew we were big fans, so they asked, like, what should we not watch, or what order should we watch them, or whatever. So we told them, and they're big Harry Potter fans. So they like movies, and they like worlds and stuff like this. So we were kind of curious if Star Wars would hit with them, not having any nostalgic tie to it. And I was talking to my wife yesterday, and they recently finished up all of the movies and immediately want to start watching them again. That's interesting to me, and I know not everybody has that same reaction, but for somebody who doesn't have any tie to them, you know, through nostalgia, through childhood, to get through that much content, that's a lot of movies.
It is a lot.
To get through that and immediately want to jump back in and enjoy them again, that says something to me.
What order did you give them? Because I envisioned in this, I know nothing about Star Wars. And because I know at least a little bit about numbers, you would start with episode 1. And if you started with episode 1 in this new fantastical series of movies, you're going to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah. No, we told them to do release order. I mean, everybody has their own little machete order or this order or that order or whatever.
Machete order?
Yeah, that's one of the names for, like, I don't know. Look it up if you care. I still think release order is the best.
Yeah.
You know.
But then you can go to the bathroom during
I take
the
that back. Like, starting at 4 and putting Solo and Rogue One in between. So, like, I do the prequels. No, sorry, I do the original trilogy, then the prequels, then those two, and then I jump ahead to the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
I don't know why I put those there. It doesn't really make any sense, but that's how I like to watch them.
So there you go. Everybody listening, if you were to watch Star Wars with Bob Claggett, that's how you're going to watch them.
Actually, you're probably, if you watch it with me, you're going to watch Empire Strikes Back like 25 times, and then you'll watch all the other ones one time, and then back to...
I really liked Good Hope. The first time I saw it...
New Hope?
New Hope. No, I liked Good Hope.
Welcome to Star Wars.
It's a fan-made...
Big fan of Star Trek, huh?
Because they did...
A New Hope is excellent. Yes, I agree.
I was able to relate with Luke Skywalker a little bit more. And I think that, like, the yearning for something bigger in the universe... Sorry, I got my
Yes.
Invisalign things and my teeth got stuck. Starting that out as your initial... Like, it starts the race. And I think that's where the prequels were, like, so bad for me. Is it didn't have... It tried.
Yeah.
And he wants to go do the thing, but I didn't care about Anakin. He annoyed the crap out of me already.
Wizard!
Yeah.
Ugh,
So
bad.
I agree.
Yeah.
But again, if I would lose all memory of Star Wars, but relove it in that sequence. Because if you loved it chronologically, whew,
You have issues.
you're like...
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to do this anymore.
I honestly cannot imagine if you didn't ever watch Star Wars and you started with Phantom Menace, how terrible would you expect all of that
Yeah.
to be? There's no way I'm going to watch, I don't know, whatever it is, 35 hours of movie.
You guys enjoy this?
Ugh.
Like, ironically? Like, Birdemic?
Yeah. So bad. Anyway. All right, let's wrap this one up. Where can people find you?
On everywhere at Josh_makes_stuff. It's a new website I created. It's called Everywhere.
Cool.
No .coms. Just type in Everywhere.
Cool. You can find all of us at I Like to Make Stuff on all of the stuff. And thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Thanks for watching if you're watching on YouTube. And check this out. Look, I got to bag 3
I'm almost there.
Got some structure going on this thing. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye, Dad. He watches.
Cool.
It's my dad's birthday coming. Sure we should have a birthday.